So in part 2 of the playing blues guitar, we started off in part 1 with this. By starting on those 4 notes, so the middle 2 strings at 5th and 7th. I've sped the backing track up slightly so that I, so take a bit shorter to play through. So we had these 2 notes, which are kind of a get out of jail free. Those 4 notes will get you through. However, the first chord is an A7. So it's got this note in. Now that is right next to that note and that note. So the G string, the 3rd string in 5th and 7th fret, is going to be an issue with those chords. So if I play, for example, the 7th fret over this backing track at the beginning, it's in conflict with the keyboard chord that has that note in. Similarly, the 5th fret is not such a problem, but it still grates a little bit. But that note an octave up, which is 8th fret on the 1st string, the E string, does work. It's kind of, well, it's actually called a A7 sharp 9. But the problem is with this note, it's right next to that one. So if I bring them in closer together, the A7 is meant to have that note there, and we've got this one. So you can see where the problems lie. Now, there is a solution to this. So let's assume that the entire blues works over this except for the chord 1. Now what you can do is you can shift the entire pattern down 3 frets. So we've got 2, 4, 2, 4 on the middle 2 strings still. So on the first chord, which is the A7, which actually accounts for half of this chord sequence, so it is worth getting right. You can use those 4 notes, and then when I go to the next chord I can move up, and I'll demonstrate that for you. Notice on the chord 5, which is only 1 bar, I shifted that pattern up 2 frets as well. It's just another way of doing this. So if I had, for example, so whatever idea you come up with in E over the E9 chord, you could kind of make the whole thing down a step. So there are, although that does work over the E, it's only 1 bar, so it's not going to be the end of the world if you miss that one. The most important though is getting the first chord with this 2, 4, 2, 4 arrangement. So I'm doing hammer-ons and slides. There's chord 4, back to chord 1, chord 5, chord 4, chord 1. try an idea that uses both those positions. But the problem is with this one, as I described, it's the G string here that is a real pain, because both of those notes surround the main note, or the one that defines that chord quality in the A chord. Whereas this one, all of those chords go with that chord. All of those notes go with the A7 chord. La, 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 da, 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 whereas la, 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 la. That one is even worse because it's the fourth of the scale in each chord. There it is. So if I did a solo, I'll just speed up the tempo here to demonstrate this. If I sped up the tempo of my backing track and only played the fourth note in each chord, you'll see that it doesn't work at all. That works. Now, we had the other strings in use before when we had this. Actually, the whole thing works over chord 1. You can shift the entire scale down. So if I just slow the tempo down a little bit, just so that I can demonstrate that scale. So, remembering that we started in 5/7 and 5/7, moved down to 2/4, 2/4, and we end up with this. As I said before, the E9 there, which is chord 5, is only used for one bar, so it's not the end of the world if you don't find that one. The main two are the first one, the chord 1, and then the other one, which is chords 4 and 5. Of course, there are things here that are sort of idiomatic, and they define sort of blues guitar. But make no mistake, the blues guitar sort of style is here to stay. I mean, the last British blues explosion, it was in the late 1960s, and only a handful of guitarists have kind of delved into that ever since. But it's always a kind of a niche genre. So, but you will find that lots of rock and pop records, it kind of works. Even well, you could have anything. All of Me by John Legend. That's in the key of F minor. So this time we're at frets 1 and 3. So if you know what key a piece is in to a tune, you can find that place and start playing with those middle 2 strings just on those 2 fret positions. Because blues guitar is something that, you know, we all start doing. All guitarists start playing a bit of blues, and then you find that it really does work over quite a few different genres and different chord sequences. Chord sequences still are quite on the simple side when you consider a pop song. It's not really, you know, it's not stuffed full of chords. I mean, even something like Hotel California, which is in B minor. Just find the position that that song is in and then have a go with that key. On a desert highway, falling in my air. Warm smell of colitas running up through the air. I bathe in the distance. Good, I've forgotten the words. So you can use those positions to have a go at a solo in anything, you know, that isn't blues, because lots of it comes from the blues.